Hey everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. Though there is only 7 of us living at home at the moment, one of the kids has moved out. We're going to adjust that intro as needed throughout the next, 6 months probably, trying to figure out exactly what I want to say there. It is Sunday. And normally I do a Sunday chat video. I normally do it first thing Sunday morning while everyone's at church, and I had other stuff to do and I didn't get around to it. So we are going to try and do it now, but I do have a few things that I want to try and get done whilst I'm chatting like normal. Now, I am going to do a batch of bread. I'm just going to do French bread quickly up in the KitchenAid. And I also want to make hot chocolate powder. So that's the plan today, is to make the kids a batch of hot chocolate powder. We make it every winter. The kids use it, and I use coconut milk powder, and I'm going to make some marshmallow fluff. Okay, so we'll get that done as well. But first up, I want to make some bread and then have a think about what we need to chat about this Sunday. Some Sundays I feel like not a lot's happened during the week and there's not a lot to share. But I always find something, because that's what I do, isn't it? I just ramble and find something to discuss. So first up, we're going to make this bread though. Let me see if I can position you so you can see the bench as well as me, which is always my challenge on these videos as well. What I end up doing, and I'm sure people notice, is I end up lowering myself a bit so that you can see what I'm doing as well as seeing me. But anyway, so I'm going to make a basic French bread. I'm going to do some rolls for the kids to use. So this one is up on the website if you want to check it. So we're going to do 600 grams of water. I did warm this water up because it's a bit chilly and it's late in the day and I just want to get this sorted. So I'm doing 600 grams of warm water. I'm going to do 20 grams of yeast. And we're going to do 50 grams of sugar. This is going to help with the cooler temperatures for the dough to perk up, but also browning on the bread, and also French bread normally just has that slight sort of a sweetness to it. So 50 grams of sugar. We're going to put 20 grams of salt. And we're going to put 100 grams of oil. And then we're going to add our flour. So let me grab my flour bucket. And we do a kilo of flour with these ones. And then I'm going to put this in the KitchenAid for a few minutes to get into a bit of a shaggy dough. We'll transfer it and we'll let it do what it needs to do. Now, the marshmallow fluff I also need this bowl for. So I need to get this dough kneaded and the bowl cleaned before I can do that. So I will grab all the stuff out for the hot chocolate powder in the meantime. So let me find my dough hook. Alrighty. So that is going. Alright, so now the hot chocolate powder, we need cocoa. The other thing I might do is another batch of those biscuits with the 3 eggs, because I wouldn't mind trying them. So give me a sec. Now, the hot chocolate powder I do in parts. Like I do one part this, one part that, whatever else, to make the quantity that I want to make. Ugh, I cannot get this camera right. I don't know how loud that thing is either. I should probably just wait for the dough to finish before I come back. Alright, so this dough doesn't need to be super smooth. Oil sprayer. The high yeast content and the fact that I will be doing a second shaping, second proofing, means that it's pretty tolerant of being a bit of a shaggy dough. So I'm going to leave that there. And get this into the greased container to double. And then I will shape and proof again to get in the oven. Contemplated making a second batch of this before I wash the bowl. But I don't think I will, because there's just too much else that I want to get done. So I think I'm going to leave that at that. Put that aside to proof. All right, now I need to get this washed because I need this bowl for the marshmallows. So let me go. All right, now I go super simple with my marshmallow / marshmallow fluff. We're doing it maple and we're going just really, really simple. So all we do is we put about 1/3 of a cup of water in the bottom of the bowl. We then add about 1.5 tablespoons of gelatin to bloom over the top. Now different size tablespoons, different, like, the more gelatin, the firmer they'll be, the less it's really just one of those things that gelatin's a hard one because most of it's done in tablespoon measurements and tablespoons between America and Australia are different and things like that. Anyway, so we've got about 1/3 of a cup of gelatin, 1/3 of a cup of water with about 1.5 tablespoons of gelatin, and we're just blooming that. I'm just scraping down the sides to make sure that it's all staying nice and wet in the bottom, and it'll go gelatinous and semi-solidified. Then I'm going to put that in there. Now, what I need to do is I need to heat my maple syrup. So I've got a cup of maple syrup in a pot here, and I'm going to heat it up to about 110 Celsius before I add it to the gelatin mix. I've just got it. You're leaning on a blue pot. That's what you can see in the corner there. We've just got this on the heat, and we're just going to bring it up to about the 110 Celsius. Now, you don't have to mix it. I find swirling it a little bit just helps you get a bit more of a valid temperature. And what we want to do is we want to have the whisk ready for the KitchenAid as well. So I'm just going to grab that while this is warming up. All right, we've hit 100. Now, some people say you have to get to soft boil stage before it'll work. I don't find that that's necessary. I find that 100, 110 is plenty, and I don't want to risk burning the maple syrup otherwise. Okay, so then we've got the KitchenAid here with the gelatin in it, and all we're going to do is we're going to turn this on, break up the gelatin a little bit, and then we're going to pour this in. And we're going to turn it up. And it can take 10 to 15 minutes to get where we need it to be. All right, I think I forgot to time it, mind you. Let me have a look at what we've got here in the way of, we've got some pretty significant peaking, and I think that's fine because if this is soft, it's not such a big deal for us because the whole point of this is that it's going to be used for hot chocolate. So now all I need before it sets up, because it does set pretty quickly once you stop moving it, so we just want to scrape the beater down and get it into a lined tray. Now ideally I probably should have sprinkled this tray with something, a bit of icing sugar or cornstarch or something, but I haven't. So let's hope they all come out. And you want to let it set up at room temperature. You don't want to stick it straight in the fridge. It is better to let it sit up at room temperature for a while before putting it in the fridge if you need to. So we're just going to see what I'm doing here. Probably not real well. Get it all into the tray. I'm just going to cover this and let it set up at room temp. All right, next we need the hot chocolate powder. Now, I do a really simple ratio-based one. Sugar, cocoa, milk powder, salt, and potato starch is how I do it. So I want 2 parts of sugar to 1 part cocoa. I did consider putting half sugar, half sweetener just to reduce the sugar, but I don't think I'm that concerned. They don't use very much of it at a time. And anyway, so let's do, say, 500 grams of sugar. And we will grind this up to a powder. Alright, my battery's running low, so let's get this done and then I'll put it on charge before I come back. Alright, so we've got the sugar powdered down, which is fine, and so that was 500 grams. So we've got 2 parts sugar. The next thing we're going to do is add 250 grams of cocoa, which is 1 part. And then we want to add some sort of 40 odd grams, 40 to 50 grams of potato starch. We'll say 50 for this one, and that helps to thicken it up. We've got 50 grams of potato starch, and we're going to mix that, and then I'm going to grab out the coconut milk powder. So let's just blend this, and then we want 1.5 parts of the milk powder, but also a little bit of salt. So we're just going to put a couple pinches of salt in here. So we've got that, and now we just need the coconut milk powder. Alright, so we want 1.5 parts of the milk powder, so we're going to do 325 grams of that. So I buy my milk powder in a 15 kilo bag, and it's dairy-free coconut milk powder from Hello Pure. So what we're aiming for is that all the elements of it are all the same texture. They're all that fine texture like the broken up sugar, because then they're going to dissolve equally and sit in the jar equally. So that is that hot chocolate powder. I'm going to move it into a jar and I'll bring you back. Alright, I had to charge my camera briefly, but it's not real great because with the new desk setup I haven't got everything set up right and I don't have enough charging points. But anyway, I got some new IKEA jars when I got some IKEA stuff delivered. I'm really liking I really like using the half-gallon jars, but the size of the opening is sometimes just really inconvenient, and then the depth of it to get down to the bottom of it. So I saw these and thought these are going to have the plastic lids, which will be easier to keep clean rather than a lot of the glass lidded stuff that I've got. The lids get really dirty, so and then they're really hard to clean because they've got a seal that you've got to keep clean too, and then they have to be perfectly dry before you put them. Anyway, I love them, but they're a pain in the bum. So these ones have plastic clip-on lids, and I thought that this might be the way to go. Nice and wide, so easy to get your hand into, but with the plastic lid. So there's the hot chocolate powder. This will be weeks worth of hot chocolate powder, I think. I think they use like a coffee scoop or a tablespoon per serve, but we'll see how we go. And they'll have some of that with the marshmallows as well. So now I really need to get moving on the dough because it has completely overproofed. And I'll bring you down lower where you can watch the dough, which everyone loves. And I can understand that. And we will get this going. So let me grab a little bit of flour. We'll just sprinkle a little bit of that. And we'll scoop this out. As I said, it's a little overproof, but it's fine because it has plenty of yeast in it and it's going to do the second proof anyway. But it did go a little bit longer than it should have because I was busy doing charging the camera and doing other stuff, which is, you know, always the way. So let's get this out on the board. All right, French bread. What are we going to do? We'll do them in sort of, I think I normally do them in sort of 300-ish rolls, but let's, I get cocoa on my hands, so the dough's getting a bit of cocoa on it, but that's fine. So we've got 175-ish. See how many we get out of that. So, weekend chat-wise, what do we need to cover? What have I been asked lately? Alrighty, so I'm doing these into French bread, but I'm just doing them into smaller than usual ones because I'm just not sure what I'm using them for yet. I'm not sure what I'm doing for dinner. I really need to plan for the next week ahead. I'm going to pull a 5 kilo bag of chicken thighs out, but I'm also going to pull we've got a couple of bags of chicken wings left because I'd like to make some more stock because the kids would like some soup on the shelves, and I normally make a big batch of stock before I make the soup. I don't have any carcasses because I did that big batch of stock that I canned recently, and I like to make fresh stock to use to can like soups and stuff rather than using the stock that I've already canned, because I use that for other things, you know, sort of convoluted to can stock and then use it as a base for canning something else. So I'm doing these a couple of different ways. Because I'm doing them as minis, I'm curious as to whether doing them one way and then the other way, and then pinching and rolling them out will give them a little bit more body. So I'm just experimenting while I'm chatting. So I need to plan for the week ahead. Life has just been a little bit hectic with the new schooling. So the new schooling is hybrid homeschooling. It's got some distance ed factors to it, as in they can attend some online classes and things like that. But I still have to mark and submit work every week for each of them and supervise. Like the boys had an experiment to do with magnets this week that had to be done, and then they had to, you know, write their observations and everything else, and then that gets submitted, things like that. So because it's hybrid distance ed, it still means that my workload is quite high, and it's actually a little bit higher than it was at the moment, because the way we used to do schooling was we would do it all at the same time. So like we would do school from 12 to 4 or whatever, and then the bigger kids who had more elaborate stuff that needed to be done was done outside of that, but the smaller boys, that was their supervised schooling or whatever. And now because they have classroom time, it's spread out between 8 and 3 every day, and they all have different classes depending. The twins obviously are in the same class, so their classes are at the same time, but everyone else's classes are at different times, different subjects. So I'm tracking workbooks, attendance and all that sort of stuff for all of them in a much more a much different way than I was. So at the moment it's actually creating more work rather than less for me. The hope is that eventually it will create less as the older kids learn to navigate their online platform, and I'm only marking and assisting rather than directing everything. But for the moment, it's been a lot of work, and this week has been a little bit all over the place because of that. So we're still falling into that. We also had a lot of rain this week, and we actually had one of our tanks out the back. It's just a 1,300 litre metal galvanized tank. It was secondhand, and when we bought it, the tap attachment was welded and glued into place. It had obviously come away at some point, and they had jury-rigged it back together, and that's fine, except that they turned the tap on the other day and the whole thing fell out, which wouldn't normally be too much of an issue, except that it was completely full of water because it had rained. So that's a bit of a bummer, and we can't use that tank at the moment, and we have more rain forecast, so we're still figuring that one out. But that's not our main tank. It's only a tank that comes off one of the smaller roofs that we use for the animals, so our main tank is fine. But yeah, we're figuring that out. And the rain, of course, when it rains, the kitchen's all sloppy and wet, and that's never pleasant for me to work in. And so yes, this week has been a little bit of a write-off. I have been doing a lot of our D&D conversion work. I really would have liked to have gotten some more done on the website and more our small footprint kind of stuff done, but we have a pretty close deadline on the D&D stuff, so we're working really hard to work through that so that we can get that done on time, and then theoretically that will help fund our roof extension that we want to get. And when Darryl goes to Synod in June, the theory is that he could hire a car trailer like we did last time, and bring all the extra roofing materials and stuff back that we need to get from Brisbane. So that is the plan at the moment. We will see how that goes. But yeah, we've got some deadlines that we're working on there. We still haven't got all the IKEA furniture put together yet either. That is still a work in progress as well. So yeah, lots going on. I also have a couple of sponsored items that I really need to share. I got given a ketone monitor, a continual ketone monitor, like the continual glucose monitors, one for Darryl and I to try. So I need to share that with you, and I still haven't done the video on the bike because we started reorganizing the space where the bike is, and it's just a mess. Well, where that whole where you have to move furniture to put new furniture together, and then you've got to put that furniture in place and then relocate the old. It's living in complete untidiness at the moment. It's driving me nuts. So we haven't done that yet. So I let them know that I just need another week to get that sorted before I can finish the footage for that bike. So there's a few things that I really need to get done for that. Still experimenting with all the 3D printing and stuff too, and deciding what I want to do there in regards to the shop. And it's already coming up to the point where I need to decide if I'm going to do Christmas again, and if I'm going to do new critters, or if I'm all that sort of stuff. So basically the shop has just been stagnant since Christmas, and that's my fault completely. I could have marketed the family trees for Mother's Day and all that sort of thing, but I didn't. There was just too much going on for me to be able to do that as well. So that's all the roles now for their second proof. Life goes through such a variety of ebbs and flows, and I think the whole imposter syndrome that people struggle with, like especially when you're putting your life on YouTube, goes in ebbs and flows depending on how the rest of your life is going as well. So I think this week I've had a very much a down on myself week about successes with YouTube and things like that, and it's made it hard to know what to share. We had that discussion last Sunday about doing podcasts and stuff, and I think that that's definitely something that I'd like to explore, sit down chat type thing about historical type stuff and how we got where we are and why things are the way they are, and just life in general. I think that to a degree I always thought that I lived a fairly boring life until I looked back and realized that what has shaped me to be who I am now is quite extensive. And it wasn't until I did YouTube and started doing YouTube and people started asking questions about how I learned things or why I did things the way I did, that it really makes you think about those kind of things, and makes it you more aware of it. A child interrupted, which brings me back to another point of that, is that if I decided to do a podcast of some sort, I would need to set up myself a space that I could be that they couldn't. Otherwise, the trying to keep a train of thought and the editing would be too difficult. But I don't know where that's going to go, and I don't know what that ramble ended up being. It's one of those things I think about all the time, and I analyze a lot of YouTube type stuff. So I'm always transparent that whilst I do YouTube because I enjoy it and I enjoy the cooking and the sharing and the conversation and everything else, a lot of it's done because it makes me an income. And so the things that make me more of an income are something that I realize and go, well, I need to keep doing that. So I do. But I also can't afford to do some things that would help too. Like I know that when I mentioned shorts previously, people have gone, oh, I don't watch shorts anyway. And a lot of people who watch long form videos don't watch shorts, but the people who watch shorts do watch long form videos at times. And the shorts come up on their screens more often than the long form videos. And so they find you by the shorts. But like there's a lot of people that I watch that have short forms of the long form that they do to advertise that particular one. But what they're doing is they're making something first in a short form version, and then they're making it in long form version. I don't have time. I do not have time to make things twice just for video, or even sometimes make things that are trending. Like I always look at the thing I bought, like the pistachio stuff was trending for a while there, and I saw it and I thought, oh cool, I'm going to buy some pistachio because that would be so good. And it wasn't because it was trending that I bought it like to share or anything, but I thought, but you know, I can share it as well while I'm going. Even the Ninja Creamy, when I bought the Creamy, they were big and there was lots of videos about it and everything else. But the thing is that I don't have time to make videos purely for the algorithm. I haven't even used the pistachio stuff yet. I haven't made a creamy in weeks because I ran out of freezer space because I filled it with frozen chicken. And, you know, that sort of thing makes it difficult. So I don't know exactly where I'm going with this chat, just sharing because that's what I do. And everyone always says they enjoy these whole like chats over coffee. Which is basically what it is. Mind you, I am making myself a fresh coffee because I just ran out. While this dough is proofing, it's almost ready to go into the oven. I just turned the oven on to preheat. Not that I know what I'm doing with it for dinner or anything yet. Not sure. I'm going to have to go through the freezer. I need to pull all that stuff out to defrost for over the next few days, but I don't know what I'm doing for dinner as such today. We did bolognese last night, so we can't do bolognese and garlic bread or anything like that. I don't know. That just shows a bit about what this week's been. Normally I have a little bit of an idea of most things. It's been an all over the place week, and so finding something to share here has, like, deciding what to chat to you about has been difficult because I don't know exactly where to start or share or like how to integrate it into my normal Sunday chat videos. And update wise, I just don't know. That everything's chugging along and there's so many changes going on, but it's not a lot that I can like pinpoint as an update as such. So I don't know. So I'm going to score these rolls. I'm going to finish making my coffee. And what I might do is make a hot chocolate up so that I can show that, because Sonnet came out and said, I can taste test it for you. Because the marshmallows look cuttable already. And we will do that. And I will have a think. I might pull all this onto my computer and listen to myself ramble and sit there and go, I really need to create some sort of structure to this video. Or maybe I'll just go, hey, this is what it is and this is what I do. And I know that some people really enjoy it, some people skip through it, I'm sure, but this is what it is. And these Sunday chat things have become a real thing. Like, these informal Sunday chats have definitely become something that starts conversation in the comments with everyone who watches regularly, and where you get the opportunity to ask questions and stuff like that. And I'm grateful for that. So the interaction in the comments definitely makes it feel worthwhile sometimes to post. When I first started posting way back when, and there was no interaction, you couldn't tell people were watching and stuff, it was definitely hard to keep going. It is definitely made easier to keep going by having that interaction in the comments. So even the negative stuff. And I really don't understand why people will watch a video, make this significantly negative comment. I reply politely the first or second time because that's what I believe you should do. And then go and watch more videos to make more negative comments on. Like, get a life. Anyway. All right, let's score these rolls. They are nice and puffy. Let me find a blade. All right, we've got a few different shapes here that I trialed with the different ways of shaping. So I'm going to try the normal, these long ones are the ones that I normally do, which I normally just do the two big strokes on, and that works quite well. But these puffier ones, I'm going to try a couple of different things out of curiosity. Whether it makes much of a difference, probably not. These are a fairly dense white roll anyway. They don't normally have a lot of oven oven, rise oven, there's a word for it and I've just totally blanked on it, but I'm going to put these in the oven anyway. Oven spring, that's what I was looking for. All right, they're in the oven. Now, what was I was going to have a look at the marshmallow, see if I could cut a little bit. See, it's already coming off the sides nicely. It's not quite set, but it's pretty close. Got a little bit of potato starch here, which is what we put in the hot chocolate, which might just help me to get the knife through it without sticking too badly. So let's have a look. There we go. So that's what it looks like. It's lovely, jiggly. So I will cut. There is 5 pieces there that I will use for the kids to trial the hot chocolate out. I'm going to have to knock them off their computers because the solar is not happy. So good excuse to do that now. And then they can have hot chocolate as a, like a, what do you call it? When you don't win, you get a consolation prize. So I've got a seconds mug here that I had a lot of problems with. So it's got some bits of the squirrel missing. So let's try 1 scoop of that with some boiling water. And we'll place our marshmallow in the top. Now this is a dark hot chocolate because it's got the coconut milk powder in it, but not huge amounts. But they can add a little bit of coconut cream if they want to on top of that as well. So marshmallows melting nicely. And that's what it looks like. So I might try and get a decent photo of it. So I think I had the oven up too high because they cooked awfully quickly. But do you know what? I think I really like these shorter shapes. This one burned a little bit on this side, right on the edge. Obviously it was a bit close to the side. But I think I quite like these shorter with the single scores in them. Like this is more my standard, the double score with the longer look. But these are quite effective, and I think what I might do is make some smaller ones like this. Maybe I'll put 3 and do them these stout with the single, and they seem to have had far more oven spring by doing the roll one way and then the roll the other way compared to like these ones that were just the single roll. So anyway, these are the breads done, and going to cool. They had semolina on the thing, so they haven't stuck particularly, but there is a little bit of sticking, and we've had a little blowout here, but I think I like this shape. It's a lot smoother, the double, and it would be more what I'd do with normal bread, but it just hasn't been what I've done with the thing. So anyway, bread done. I still haven't decided what I'm doing for dinner, and I was going to make some of those chocolate cookies, I think, since I've still got that chocolate in the Thermomix, so I might do that, but bread done anyway. So I tried the biscuits again, and they went a little too far the other way this time. So we will keep working on it, and I'll let you know. They're still tasty, but they spread a lot more rather than holding that snowball shape. And, you know, they're a little bit softer than I had intended, though I haven't tried them cold yet. So we will see. But I will keep you updated on the adventures with those. Other than that, I have just cut up 1.5 kilos of rump that I'm going to velvet for dinner, and have with whatever we've got left in the way of cauliflower and broccoli and stuff, and maybe some rice or I don't know, but a stir fry of some sort with this beef. So that's it for me today. I'm going to leave it there. I have no idea how much I got through on the chat, and I haven't had a chance to even pull it into the computer to check it, and it's really late, and normally I'd have this out by lunchtime. And anyway, it's one of those weeks or days, or this shirt's little thingies are sticking out every time I look. Anyway, I don't know. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.